Hi, and happy first Saturday of the year 2020. It's Dawn. So I just wanted to hop on real quick because I know the holidays can be challenging for a lot of us. And whether you maybe perhaps have some regrets or made some decisions around the holidays that weren't the most healthy for you, or perhaps you felt like you had handled something differently with a difficult family member or a friend or a situation, whatever it was, I just thought it would be a great time to come on and tap a little bit about that. So for me, it was a little bit of overindulging in food that maybe wasn't the healthiest for my body, or overindulging in alcohol a little bit, or just kind of, numbing out a little bit and not really doing things that I had meant to do over the holidays with all that time and time off. So that's what I thought we would tap on today. So this is just EFT tapping for, general, like beating ourselves up. And, sometimes we're our own worst critics and we can hold on to things for too long. And yes, it's normal to feel negative emotions, but what's really the healthiest way to get through them is, once you're able to feel them, is to release them. So EFT tapping is a really great tool to do that. I'm going to assume that most of you already know the tapping points if you're watching this video, but I'll just review them really briefly. So the first, and you're just lightly tapping with 2 fingertips. And this isn't meant to be any individual type of therapy. So if you're tapping along, you just agree to take responsibility for your own well-being. Okay, so the first point is the inside of the eyebrow, and you're just lightly tapping with your fingertips. The next point is the side of the eye, and then you have under the eye where you feel the eye bone, under the nose, chin point, the collarbone, under the arm, under the chest, the wrist points, and then top of the head. So we're just going to say a little setup statement. So again, if there's any words that I'm saying that don't resonate with you, just feel free to insert your own words, and just please never, tap while you're actively driving. So we'll start with the karate chop point. So you're just gonna lightly chop on this end point. Like if you were going to do a karate chop, that's where the fleshy part is. Even though I'm beating myself up for bad choices I made around the holidays, or maybe even in 2019 in general, I accept how I feel, and I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm beating myself up for bad choices that I made during the holidays, or perhaps in 2019 in general, whatever it is for you, you can say that out loud. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I'm beating myself up, I'm my own worst critic for making some bad choices around the holidays, and it's so easy to do that, to be my own worst critic. And I realize that I'm doing it to myself, and I'm the one carrying around, beating myself up and, wishing I would have made a different decision at the time, but I didn't. I accept how I feel, and I deeply and completely honor and accept myself no matter what. And just notice where your intensity level is on that scale from 1 to 10. 10 meaning I beat myself up all the time, it's nonstop, I really regret it. And 1 meaning, oh no, I'm good, I don't beat myself up at all. So just kind of notice where you are in that intensity level scale, because obviously the goal is to get your intensity level, no matter what emotion you're dealing with, or whether it be anger, frustration, or sadness or loss, or beating yourself up, being your own worst critic, wishing you had made different decisions. You want to get an idea of where your intensity level is, and why that's important is because you want to see your numbers coming down to be able to sort of monitor your progress. So I hope that makes sense. So now we did 3 of the setup statements. Now we're going to do the reminder phrases on the tapping point. I'm so good at beating myself up for making bad decisions over the holidays, and I can tend to be my own worst critic. Under the nose, beating myself up. Chin point. I tend to beat myself up a lot for bad decisions I've made. Collarbone. I tend to beat myself up. Under the arm, beating myself up. Under the chest. I'm my own worst critic sometimes. Wrist points. I have a tendency to beat myself up for bad decisions, especially around the holidays. Top of the head, tendency to beat myself up. Inside of the eyebrow, I can be my own worst critic. Side of the eye, and I can be really hard on myself sometimes. Under the eye, especially when I make less than favorable decisions. Under the nose, I have a tendency to beat myself up. Chin point, being hard on myself. Collarbone, I can tend to be my own worst critic. Under the arm, beating myself up. Under the chest, I have a tendency to do that. Wrist points, especially when I make unhealthy decisions. Top of the head, I have a tendency to beat myself up. And you can switch hands if you want, switch sides, beating myself up. Side of the eye, I'm my own worst critic. Under the eye, and it's so easy to beat myself up. Under the nose, because if I don't do it, who else is going to do it? Chin point, being my own worst critic. Collarbone, and perhaps I overate or perhaps I overdrank at the holidays. Under the arm, and I'm still beating myself up for it even though it's early January. Under the chest, beating myself up. Wrist points, I'm my own worst critic. Top of the head, beating myself up. Take a deep breath. So hopefully your intensity level went down. So once it's come down a few points, then you can really start bringing in the I want and I choose statements. And this is where, at first we want to tap on the negative, because what you want to do is you want to clear out space in your body's electrical and energetic system to clear out sort of the cobwebs first in order to then fill yourself back up with positive I want and I choose statements. So now we're going to alternate the negative with the positive. So actually let's do another setup statement. So even though I beat myself up and I can tend to be my own worst critic, especially when I overindulge around the holidays, I want to let that go. I want to release that negative energy, and I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I have a tendency to beat myself up and I can be my own worst critic, I want to let it go. And I choose instead to accept myself and know that it was just a limited time and it's time to move on. I deeply and completely honor and accept myself. Even though I have a tendency to beat myself up and I can be my own worst critic, especially when I make less than favorable decisions, I accept how I feel, I choose to let it go, and I deeply and completely think I'm amazing and awesome. So inside of the eyebrow, any remaining beating myself up, I want to give myself a break. I'm willing to consider letting go of this self-criticism because it doesn't help and it no longer benefits me. So it's time to let it go. Under the arm, it's time to release this negative energy. Under the chest, so I want to let it go. Wrist points, I want to release this negative energy. Top of the head, I want to release any remaining self-criticism or feeling defeated or beating myself up. So I choose instead to be proud of myself for all the growth and progress I've made in the last year, for being aware of my behavior and acknowledging it. Collarbone, and now choosing to release it. Under the arm, I choose to remember that I'm awesome. Under the chest, and doing the best I can, no matter what the situation. Wrist points, and this moment and any moment moving forward is a new opportunity. Top of the head, to make a different choice. Inside the eyebrow, to choose a more positive response. Side of the eye, to take a deep breath before I make that decision. Under the eye, to feel in my system if this decision will expand me or contract me. Under the nose, any remaining feelings of beating myself up. Chin point, I want to let that go completely. Collarbone, and I choose instead, under the arm, to be calm and relaxed. Under the chest, to be in control of my emotions. Wrist points, because I am ultimately responsible for my own happiness. Top of the head, and I choose to love myself no matter what. Okay, take a deep breath. Just check in with your system and just noticing where you started on that 1 to 10 intensity scale and where you're at now. And if you have any comments or questions, feel free to write them in the comments below or send me a direct message, and I will be happy to respond. And have a great rest of your day, and I encourage you to keep tapping, because your monkey mind, your survival area of the mind, that fight, flight, freeze mode that is ingrained in all of us, it's something that we're born with, and that's meant to be there as a protective barrier for when there is imminent danger. That monkey mind that needs to be retrained, and that pattern needs to be interrupted. So if you're just doing the same things that you've always done in the past, then obviously you're going to get the same results. So what you need to do is reframe and interrupt that pattern so that your mind and your body learns that you're not in imminent danger, that it's just perceived perhaps, and that it's okay to be relaxed and calm. And two feelings of an opposite nature cannot exist in the same time frame, in the same point in time. So if you're feeling calm and relaxed, you can't feel anxious or panicky or butterflies in your stomach. So the more that you're able to give those signals to your body, whether it be tapping or breathing or meditating or grounding or singing or dancing, changing your state, changing your mindset is key. And it's something that you need to do consistently and repetitively and every day. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to comment. Hi, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, Jigia? If you have any questions, let me know, and thank you for tuning in, and have a great rest of your day. Okay, bye for now.